What's good in the hood, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. I am back on YouTube. Inshallah, forget now, okay? I'm gonna be uploading weekly. It's over. No more clownery, no more nonsense. I am back. So welcome to my channel. Today we got a really interesting special video, a really controversial video. I've seen clips of this video all over TikTok, people agreeing, disagreeing, blah blah blah. The title of this video is "Do Good Muslim Women Wear Hijab?" Middle Ground from Jubilee. So I'm excited, okay? I think this video is like the host is gonna say a sentence and there's gonna be two sides, people who agree, disagree, and they both give their opinion, blah blah blah, and then they fight. But you know what? I was really interested in this video. I've seen like small tiny clips of it on TikTok, and I was like, yo, I have to react to it and give my opinion and react to it with you guys as well, you know what I mean? But without further ado, let's get right into this video. But before we start, make sure you guys subscribe, hit the like button, and comment below. When you guys comment, it shows that you guys care. It shows you guys love me and I love you, and like we're all a happy family. So if you guys enjoy these videos, comment like more videos, more videos. If I see a bunch of more videos, I'll be posting maybe 2-3 times a week, inshallah. So make sure to leave a comment, like, subscribe, and let's get into the video. Let's go. Okay, let's go. Let's go. People have been
and people have acted upon that. There's poetry, there's erotic, homosexual poetry.
That's a sin, and if you look at every other religion, that's a sin in every religion.
No, it's not.
Oh my gosh, I'm already bad. I'm already triggered. Oh, I'm gonna cry. This video's gonna make me cry. I'm gonna lose my mind. Middle ground. By the way, guys, it's a 23-minute video. 23 minutes.
Step forward if you agree with the prompt.
Okay.
A good Muslim woman wears a hijab.
A good Muslim woman wears a hijab. I'm gonna give my quick opinion, 10 seconds. A good Muslim woman should wear the hijab because the hijab is a command from Allah. And if you're a good Muslim woman, you want to respect all commands of Allah, so you will wear the hijab. But wearing the hijab does not make you a good Muslim woman, and not wearing the hijab does not make you a bad Muslim woman. But a good Muslim woman should wear the hijab, yes, of course. But it doesn't automatically make you a good Muslim woman, and vice versa. Simple. Because obviously the hijab is fard, okay? Like, no questions asked. The hijab is an obligation.
First thing I want to make clear is that a Muslim woman who doesn't wear the hijab, that doesn't mean that she's not a good Muslim.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I just said.
I step forward.
I agree with that.
Because that means that this woman has taken on the challenge of going out every single day, wearing a headscarf and wearing the proper clothing. When they go outside wearing the hijab, everyone that looks at them
they're
knows
respecting a command of Allah. A Muslim woman who wears the hijab for the sake of Allah is respecting one of the commands of Allah.
Extreme amount of respect.
So you know what I mean?
Any woman who wears the hijab properly.
Yeah, of course, I agree with you 100%. You know, I look to the Quran, which is our book, and the Sunnah of the Prophet, which is like the way the Prophet lived. Peace be upon him.
Where's the captions on? Wait. Okay.
And weird. What does it say about the hijab? You know, hijab is something that's ordained for women in the Quran, you know?
Exactly, yeah, I agree with that. I agree with both of them. Like, the hijab is a command from Allah. Like, come on. Okay.
So I think that one of the main reasons why I disagreed is because of the statement, a good Muslim woman. And I think that you can be a bad Muslim woman as well and wear
liberal
the hijab.
Muslim?
And also the hijab
What
is
is
not
that liberal
just
Muslim
limited
title?
to the headscarf. It's how you dress and how you carry yourself as well.
Yeah,
I would say, so actually I have a question for both of you then. Let's say you meet a Muslim woman, you know, you marry her, she's wearing hijab, but one day she says like, hey, you know, I don't feel like maybe I want to wear hijab anymore. I guess like, what are your thoughts be on that and on her decision for doing that?
Okay, let me answer that. You said if you're married with a good, pious Muslim woman, and then she like down the line she wants to remove the hijab, I'm gonna try to see what's the problem. Why does she want to remove the hijab? Like it's not about my preference. It's about what happened between her relationship and like what happened between her relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that made her want to remove the hijab. Because the hijab is a command from Allah. If she was following one of Allah's commands and then she just wants to break it off randomly, something had to have happened, you know what I mean? So we're gonna work on that inshallah, and inshallah she won't remove the hijab. Like,
about finding out why they were wearing the hijab in the first place, like was it forced upon them by their parents? Or was this something that they came to the conclusion
exactly. If you did for the sake of Allah, why do you want to remove it? Like, did something happen with relationship
about wearing the hijab?
Allah?
Where do you see in the Quran that it requires hijab?
So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَقُلِ الْمُؤْمِنَاتِ يَغْضُضْنَ مِنْ أَبْصَارِهِنَّ وَيَحْفَظْنَ فُرُوجَهُنَّ وَلَا يُبْدِينَ زِينَتَهُنَّ إِلَّا مَا ظَهَرَ مِنْهَا وَلْيَضْرِبْنَ بِخُمُرِهِنَّ عَلَى جُيُوبِهِنَّ. So here the word khimar is the exact word hijab, but the word khimar means headscarf.
Yeah, that makes sense. I guess for me, in how I've read the Quran, the translation that I have,
I hate the title liberal Muslims.
Isn't required, it should. That women should cover their heads and cover.
I don't know why people identify as a liberal Muslim. Like, I find it so cringe. Like, bro.
And so that's why I hesitate with saying that it's an obligation.
I hate that title.
Because it's more of a, I would say, should isn't must.
So personally, I guess I just took the prompt too literally. I mean, I consider myself a good Muslim, alhamdulillah, but I don't wear the hijab, obviously. Even if the Quran doesn't specifically say that this is required, the interpretation of the Quran has said that it is required, and I do believe that.
Okay, I respect
know it seems kind of contradicting that I'm a conservative Muslim and I don't wear the hijab. I don't think I'm ready to kind of wear the hijab yet. I want to wear the hijab. I need to wear the hijab.
Okay, the first one was not bad.
Acting on homosexuality is a sin.
Oh, ya Allah. Acting on homosexuality is a sin. If one person doesn't move up, we're fighting. Like, I'm finding your address and we're fighting. If one of you don't move up, we're fighting. Bismillah, please. Please, ya Allah. No. What?
I believe that acting on homosexuality is a sin, especially like if you were expressing sexual desire.
Acting on homosexuality is a sin, but if you're gay and you don't act upon it, you get rewarded. So you get good deeds. But acting upon it is, of course, a sin.
Because that should take place between a man and a woman under the sanction of marriage. So that is the reason why I do feel as though it is a sin.
And it's pretty clear in the Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, أَتَأْتُونَ الرِّجَالَ شَهْوَةً مِّن دُونِ النِّسَاءِ. Do you guys prefer men over women?
Yeah.
He's talking to the people of Lut.
Yeah.
And the Prophet, peace be upon him, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he says that one of the...
Right now, Jad is carrying. What about Allahumma barik?
The biggest problems for the ummah is the sin of Lut, or the people of Lut.
Again, we could just all agree, this is not our personal opinion or anything. It doesn't, in the end of the day, when it comes to religion, our personal opinion
doesn't matter. I agree.
It doesn't matter. This is what God ordained for us. This is the natural way of humans.
She's angry.
Whatever we want,
she's going to come with some heat.
Where does
oh my gosh.
When is it going to come to incest next? For instance, in America or in the West, homosexuality 30 years ago wasn't accepted. Or 40,
and now it's accepted. Now it's normal.
But now it's accepted.
And then
this is the liberal
50 years,
idea,
it's going to be something else.
The subjective morality, it just shifts. It shifts based on the time. We don't shift in our religion. My question to liberal Muslims would be, who dictates objective morality? Islam, as God tells us in the Quran, is a religion in the middle. So it has some aspects that you have to believe in from God and some things that are a little bit more leeway for you. But you have to understand which ones are which.
No, some things are clear, man. Like homosexuality in Islam is clear. The stance of homosexuality in Islam is clear, man. Bro, here we go.
May I start?
Yeah,
I don't believe that acting on homosexuality is a sin at all. There's so much to get into. In the story of Prophet Lot itself, you see that they weren't condemned because the people of Prophet Lot were coming to his house to have sex with the men who were disguised as angels, but you can look at it as a condemnation of rape and abuse itself and mistreatment of.
It literally says in the verse you were lusting over men instead of women. Like, okay, so like by her logic, that means it would be okay to rape women but not men because the verse says men and not women. So does that mean that God is saying that you can do it to women but not to men? Like no, astaghfirullah. Like.
Dangerous. And the Quran verse that you cited as well, within that verse, Allah uses the prefix al, which means the, and there's interpretations that exist that say that specifically is talking about those men specifically who leave those women specifically. So meaning that those men who did that had wives that they left to go rape these or try to attempt to rape these guests in an attempt to bring humiliation upon the Prophet and sorry, I'm getting a little emotional.
Yeah, okay, I was gonna say like, her voice is so shaky. Like, I don't know if she was nervous or not, but like, honestly, it's pretty stressful. But still, like, wait, is she gay? Maybe, I don't know. Like, is that why she's emotional? Like, is she gay or something or what? Yo.
Basically, there's different interpretations of the story of Prophet Lut. One interpretation is that it's about homosexuality, and there are other interpretations throughout history that says it wasn't about homosexuality.
I honestly don't know a single Islamic scholar that says homosexuality is permissible in Islam.
Some reason the interpretation that it is condemning homosexuality is the dominant narrative, and I think that narrative seriously needs to be contended with, because we're saying that being homosexual or being bisexual or being anything other than heterosexual is a sin. But Allah creates you like that. Allah creates people who are intersex. Like intersex people exist in this world.
Okay, Some things are meant as a test. If someone is created and they're let's say, I know it's weird, but I want to give an extreme example. If someone's created and he's attracted to animals, it doesn't make it fine. Like, we have desires. Even me as a man, I have desires for women. It doesn't make it acceptable to go sleep around. Same thing for many things. Like, some people love alcohol. Just because they love alcohol doesn't mean they're allowed to go do it. Some people might be attracted, like I said, to dogs or cats. Doesn't mean they can go sleep with dogs or cats. Some things are meant to be a test. There's a lot of different interpretations out there. You don't have to act upon every single desire you have in this dunya. Not everything is permissible.
The story of Prophet Lut, and I think the central point in it is contending with the fact that people use sex as a weapon for domination, weapon for humiliation. That's a real issue. And being homosexual, being something that you were naturally created, isn't. My experience being a queer Muslim woman in America has been beautiful. Alhamdulillah, I've met and have been a part of a beautiful Muslim community that is a mix of queer Muslims and not. I don't think I've ever experienced backlash, at least to my faith.
Too much.
So there's a couple different points that you said that I want to rebuttal.
Yay, the rebuttal! Let's go.
So the first one being that you said being homosexual, being bisexual, all of those things is a sin. First of all, that's incorrect.
Yeah, acting
any
upon
of those
it.
things in itself is not a sin. I mean, so that's why when the prompt is acting on homosexuality, that is the sin. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها. He does not burden a soul with anything more than it can take. Even as a Muslim, you believe that, like you just said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us all, and He created homosexual people with those people with those tendencies for a reason. But at the same time, this whole life is a test, right?
Yep.
And for the person who has those tendencies, then that's an extremely difficult test that they're going to have to go on with for the rest of their lives.
But that's an assumption that that is the only test. What if the test is living in a world that hates you, that thinks that you cannot act on a desire of love, of consensual love, but still being committed to Allah? Huh? What if that's the test itself?
That's part
and that's what I think is the test.
And I would say
that's the interpretation out there that we're not talking about.
Which interpretation?
I have a question.
I'm sorry. I would just also like to add, the Quran also kind of is about the nature, right? The nature of life, and so
it's an interesting topic.
Homosexuality, not homosexuality, acting upon homosexuality goes against the nature of why we were born. And so we were kind of like made in order to procreate, right? We need to
but we need to. That's sunnat.
That's the way of life.
But I would disagree that the purpose of being with someone is to procreate, because in the Quran Allah says that Allah creates mates for us so that we can find love, tranquility, and peace. And I think a lot of the reason why a lot of people think that acting upon homosexuality is a sin is because of hadith. And in those small numbers of hadith that are like unambiguously correct, there is no mention of homosexuality in those hadith. Read Homosexuality in Islam by Dr. Siraj Al-Haq Kugel. He talks about this extensively. Keisha Ali also talks about this. These are both two contemporary scholars talking about this.
These are minority scholars in the way that
Why
is this an issue only now, but not in all of this time of Islam?
It has always been an issue.
No, it's not. For sure it hasn't. The climate we live in nowadays, the liberal mindset.
People have been queer since the beginning of time.
Exactly, they have.
That's what I'm saying.
No one's denying that.
Yo, I'm so into it. I'm forgetting to speak, bro. Subhanallah. We truly live in a crazy time, man. Homosexuality has been so normalized. Subhanallah, man. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us, bro. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward the people that are enduring this test, because I kind of
and people have acted upon that.
I can't even imagine how hard this text.
Homosexual poetry.
If you look at every other religion, that's a sin in every religion.
No, it's not.
It's not up to me for it to interpret. That's why you look up to the people with knowledge. You look up to the people who have dedicated their lives to interpreting this. And the past 1,400 years, I have. That's what I'm saying. You can't ignore all the scholars of the 1,400 years.
I'm not ignoring them, but you can't just say they're the only ones who are correct. I just told you two contemporary scholars who have alternatives.
Two compared to thousands.
Sure,
and there's way more who are also
getting a bit awkward.
Sorry, I really appreciate, I know you're all very passionate about this topic, but I think there's not going to be a middle ground, which is okay. I think the point is just to still have a conversation, and I appreciate
that was cringe. Oh my
listening
god.
to each other and talking, but we have to move
on. That was cringy. I don't know why, but I was cringe.
The other side taints the image of Islam.
What other side? Like liberal scholars and conservative scholars? Liberal scholars, I'm not gonna lie.
I think that the reason why I stepped forward is because I feel like a lot of conservative Muslims, as a Muslim revert, have very strong cultural beliefs. That can be very intimidating for somebody who is new to the religion. And it kind of discounts like who I am and my own deen. So that's why I think that I feel that way, just because of the interactions that I've had.
I just don't like the title, liberal Muslim.
I love that point.
I don't like these titles.
For me personally, people who revert, we say revert obviously because we believe that every person is born Muslim, but then they get changed their creed by their parents, right? People nowadays, they have some weird thing like, oh, if I was born Muslim, like they think they're better and they treat them rudely. This is not the way of a Muslim, right? The Muslim, we accept everyone as they come to the religion.
People are so worried about cancel culture. People are so worried about what everyone else thinks. People are so worried about being accepted by society. But who cares? As a Muslim, it's our responsibility to care about what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala thinks and not care about what anyone else thinks.
You can never please everybody. So there's no point to try. There's no point. Please Allah.
So I guess
that's it.
Why I disagreed with the prompt is because I feel Islam is way stronger to be kind of tainted by a group within it.
But still,
I may not agree with everything that liberal Muslims think or view, but that doesn't mean I feel like they are like this big
liberal
negative thing on Islam, because I just don't feel like Islam.
I didn't know liberal Muslims were a thing in real life, but I thought they only exist on social media.
The fact that Islam itself can't be.
Sad.
The reason I agreed is because the perception of Islam. I feel like that's what's being affected.
Not Islam itself.
I disagree with that. I don't think that's true. I don't think having those different ideologies really taint either side, because it's not like someone's gonna see like, for example, like you might not agree with this, but I support gay rights, right? And I'm Muslim. And no one's look at me and be like, oh, now all Muslims support gay rights.
Why?
Like, no, it's not true. It's just my personal preference.
Why?
And that's why I kind of disagree with both of you guys. You guys say personal opinion doesn't matter in religion. I feel like it does at the end of the day, because religion is about who you are too.
Personal opinion is okay until it goes against what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala
or the Prophet. I agree with him. Yo, Shad, I agree with you, my brother.
Your opinion doesn't matter. Everybody's opinion matters. But in
you
relation
can't put
to
your
Islam,
opinion in Islam.
Your opinion
isn't
going to change the ruling. You know what I'm saying?
I agree with that, yeah.
But the ruling itself
comes
from people's opinions. You realize that, right? Like jurists, like that is what.
No, they don't. They study Islam and they see they derive the answer from the hadith and the verses of the Quran and the seed of the Prophet and whatnot.
You interpret the law and you make a ruling from it
based
on that.
It's important to note that, people who kind of interpreted the Quran, like you're saying, they're not just like normal people like me and you.
But they've
kind of like, no, they are, but like those are like scholars who kind of, like you said, dedicated their life to kind of studying the Quran.
Of course. And I think those people are also biased, like everyone, right? Like everyone has their...
I don't think in the case of Quran that can be possible.
It is possible because we're humans. All humans are biased and subjective because the fact that we're human, we have a different experience. I'm going to interpret something or look at something completely different than another human being is.
I have so much to say, but also like...
It's subjective.
I don't want to say too much. I want to listen to their points.
This religion is done. It has been perfected as Allah tells us in the Quran. It's not like these scholars are just coming in and changing
new
something.
Stuff. Yeah, exactly.
This is something that we get it from a source. We always have to go to the higher truth. The higher truth is the Prophet and
Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is number one, bro.
Right? Because if we're just going to go, then yes, exactly your point, because humans are subject on that bias, right? But we get it from the best source, which is our Prophet, right? If we don't follow the Prophet, who are we going to follow?
Facts, who are we going to follow?
It's acceptable for a Muslim man to have more than one wife.
It's acceptable for a Muslim man to have more than one wife. Acceptable, yeah. Obviously, if you treat them fairly and, there's no problems and whatnot, yeah, why not? Like, it's literally part of Islam. If you don't treat them fairly, so this guy is supporting gay rights, but not... Like, where is he getting his Islam from? That's all I want to know.
I guess for me, I think monogamy is not for everyone.
Obviously. Oh, okay.
And so I think Muslim men, Muslim women can have more than one partner if it's consensual.
Muslim women?
What God tells us in the Quran, that you can marry up to 4, but
treat them fairly.
The precaution is that you maintain equity.
And if you don't treat them fairly,
if you can't, then you have to stick to one.
Yeah.
You mentioned that men and women. This is the difference, right?
What?
Because only men in this way. A man can marry up to 4 because think of this situation. Say, for instance, he had more than one wife.
How'd you say women?
For instance, 4 wives.
You said women too. I'm so confused.
He gets one of them pregnant, right? Everyone's going to know who the husband is and who the father is. If a woman has more than one husband, someone gets her pregnant, no one's going to know who the father is. That's not the exact reason, but I'm saying just an example, just to think about it, And in the end of the day, This is because Allah told us to.
It's a
We
juicy
live in a
conversation.
vastly different time. We view women differently in this world. Just because that is what the Quran said in that context doesn't mean that we can't interpret differently now.
No, that is the classical liberal line. Interpret it differently now. No, don't interpret it differently now. No, don't. That was the classic
Maybe I'm the
liberal
old-fashioned
Muslim
one
line.
because I always believe love is. I believe marriage is always like a love marriage. I don't think you can love 4 people at the same time.
Okay,
That's
you
my
don't
personal
have to
opinion.
do it.
If you do get married,
You don't have to do it, Zain. Zain, you don't have to marry 4 wives. But we're not talking about your opinion here. We're talking about Islamically. Is it permissible? Yeah, I don't want to marry 4, but it's still permissible. You believe in gay rights, but
get married to the person that you want to be for the rest of your life.
That's crazy,
the person,
bro.
You share love with, not someone you just get
You don't
married
have to
because you
do it if you don't want to,
authority
though.
to marry up to 4 people. So.
You could have a love marriage, but you can also have an institution of marriage. And I also think that that's what Islam kind of bases marriage around as well, right? Because even the model modeled after the Prophet, peace be unto him, when it came to him having 4 wives, it was based off of actually merging tribes together, political reasons, and also someone was a widow. So with that being said, I think that it's just different. And I think that that's one of the topics that we kind of have to seek the wisdom
I don't understand his
behind,
logic.
before we just make it about today's
The liberal
times.
Muslims.
Can men marry?
I'm not gonna lie, the niqabi, I kind of agree with, I'm pretty sure everything she said. Although she's a liberal
for
Muslim.
women, yes, but you can't. I mean, you can't be.
Unjust.
Yeah, you can't
And
be
also,
just with all
I know
the 4 of
The
them.
4 wives have to agree to it too. It can't
Exactly.
be,
Yeah. If you want to
No.
marry someone else, a lot of women themselves don't even want. They don't want. They're not okay with that.
So
Unless you put in the marriage.
can do it, but you will never be
Sorry,
able
the
to do
contract.
it the right way.
Contract marriage.
So don't do it. You know.
What is the next one?
Christianity deserves the same scrutiny as Islam.
No. No, just because Islam is getting attacked, it doesn't mean attack them as well. No, we want justice. We want people to be treated nicely and lovingly. Why are the liberal Muslims going forward? I'm so confused right now. What?
Yeah, I think that Islam is very scrutinized in Western media.
Why? What's the point of why would
for
you
their
want
practices? Because if
No,
you
I
are
don't think so.
following the word by text, a lot of it doesn't align with what Western values hold. Islam has always been a target for people on the Western side.
Islam 100% shouldn't be scrutinized, but doesn't mean Christianity should. You know what I mean?
Around the world. And I think Christianity has always been seen as kind of just this top of the level religion. It's you're a Christian, you're a good person, you can't do no wrong.
Yeah, I think all religions need scrutiny. I think any religion can be taken to extremes. You cannot understand certain things and so do things that are harmful to others. In terms of Christian history, you had the Crusades, and Islamic history, you also had colonialism as well. So yeah, every religion needs to be scrutinized. We can't just follow blindly.
All right.
Yeah, I think the question was hard for me to answer because I don't believe that any religion really needs scrutiny. I think that for me as a born Christian, I can understand
criticism,
why Christianity
There's
and Islam
that,
are kind of looked at kind of differently just based on rituals and the way that it's expressed out into the world. But I guess the question kind of just caught me up with the scrutiny part. What exactly are we scrutinizing and why?
I agree. There shouldn't be any scrutiny on any religion, because why do I say this? Because Allah tells us in the Quran when He gave the revelation to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, talking to because who were the people in Mecca? They were pagans, right? He told them don't attack their gods, don't say anything bad to their gods. And also when Allah tells us, God tells us when we're talking to Ahlul Kitab, meaning the people of the book, the Christians and the Jews, we speak in a nice way.
Yeah, I just don't like how Islam gets treated worldwide in the modern sense. I think we're always perceived as the bad guy. The bad guy. It's always us, It's always attack this, Islam did, or you live in an Islamic country, it's violence, stuff like that. So I definitely think it's unfair.
The Quran must be reinterpreted for the 21st century.
No, stay back. We don't change the Quran on a weekly basis. We don't update the Quran. We don't do that. Don't.
Well, I feel like this is kind of the crux of what I've been saying this whole time. You always need to reinterpret the Quran.
No, you don't.
Whoever is looking at the Quran, whoever is reading it, needs to interpret it. Needs to understand what Allah is.
Stop. You don't need to reinterpret the Quran, but the Quran is the Quran. The Quran does not change from day one to now. The Quran does not change and will never change and should never change. What is this?
Everything that we're learning is about getting us closer to a just future. And
That's crazy.
in the time of the Prophet, slavery was well and alive. The Quran never outright abolished slavery, but people, through their interpretation, decided that the Quran is leading us to a future where slavery shouldn't be allowed because it's unjust.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Quran as a text is a holy text that should never be changed or obviously rewritten. Like that's off the table. But I think interpretation, kind of we talked about the whole time, matters. I've consulted with different mosque leaders, different people who actually study Islam, and not once there was a big overlap because they have their own interpretation of what the Quran is into the modern world. So I just think in general there definitely should be a more modern interpretation.
What? How though? We don't update the Quran. No, the Quran is. Or else Islam will keep changing. It will become like Christianity.
Obviously, the Quran is the word of God.
Islam will become Christianity.
No one is disagreeing with the fact that society has changed. Do you believe that Allah knows the seen and the unseen?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knew what was going to happen in the future. He knew what was going to happen to society. And when revealing the Quran is timeless. Any reinterpretation of the Quran, I believe, is incorrect because...
I love this guy.
Then what would differ the Quran from the Bible?
So should slavery still be a thing?
No, but go ahead.
Okay, the slavery is a whole other topic. Slavery in the time of the Prophet was not the same as the trans, whatever the
just the act of owning another human being.
That's a whole other thing. They were basically just a servant. They could buy their own freedom. They had rights. They weren't treated like an animal, like how, as we see in our history in America, how it was.
Yeah.
This is not what it was. Going back to the actual prompt, the Quran is a rahmah in the people. It's a mercy for the humans Allah gave us to, right? The Quran is the words of Allah, right, of God.
In the simplest form, I just believe that the Quran is like a sacred text, and sacred text as a whole just should not be touched. When I think about reinterpretations, I almost think about amendments in a way. If we believe that the Prophet, peace be unto him, is the last and final messenger, then whatever he was revealed to him, it is.
But the Quran comes from Allah.
Reinterpret everything. Because the second you open up one thing for reinterpretation, you're opening up the whole religion for reinterpretation.
Every week, every year.
It's not opening up the whole religion. The religion itself is devotion to Allah. That is what Allah says
most
in Surah Al-Baqarah.
Authoritative
devotion to a religion. Thing in Islam equals devotion to Allah alone.
Of course.
That's it? Yeah, that was good. You know what? Final thoughts, because it's a long video. In general, I didn't really agree with the liberals. Islam should not be interpreted. The conservatives, they were good. Jad, Mahmoud, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless everyone there, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward all of them, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide us all. But that was a good video, a really interesting video, man. SubhanAllah. Let me know what you guys think. Do you guys agree? Let me know, give me some arguments in the comments about some things you agree with or disagree with, whether I said it or whatever they said. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Make sure to subscribe, like, and comment. Let's go. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.